Okay, so for the last couple of months, my wife and I have been quite busy buying and moving into a new house. So I haven't really had much time for game making. But we are now pretty much settled in, and I have a new office, which is great. And instead of throwing money out the window every month for a rental apartment, we are now paying off the loan on our house, which is pretty sweet. But anyway, my wife is out traveling these days and for the next couple of days, which means that I have the house all to myself, and I've completely emptied my work plate. So for the next couple of days, I can completely focus on game deving, which is great. I have some different stuff planned that I want to implement, and while I make these videos, or this video, and the primary thing I want to implement is to expand on the melee system in Hidden Assets. Right now you can only punch and use handheld weapons in melee combat, but I want to expand on that and divide it into high and low melee attacks and blocks, of course. So you'll not only be able to just use your arms, you will also be able to use your legs and kick. And I already have made the character templates for the low melee animations. Let's take a look at this one. This is the kick. Well, this is the neutral melee pose, and the kick will consist of 3 frames, 2 wind up, and then 1 actual kick frame. So it'll look like this. Push. And that's the kick itself, and then there will be a blocking animation. This is the high melee attack blocking animation. And this is the low, high and low. And when you kick, this is the kick from another direction, and when you kick an enemy, he'll go flying back 1 tile, and this is the flyback pose, like this. Except, of course, if the tile behind him is blocked, he won't do this animation. But that's the general idea anyway. And I have made a short to-do list here of what that entails. This is some other stuff. The first thing I have to do is, when I'm selecting or hovering the mouse cursor over a character in melee combat, I need to check if the cursor is over the top or bottom part of the character. For example, this would be the top part and this would be the low part. That's pretty self-explanatory. And after I've done that, I have to change the outline border so that it doesn't outline the entire selected character, but only outlines the top or bottom part of the character. And then I also have to display the proper interaction icon. I've already made that actually, so let's take a look at that. Here's the graphics folder, and let's see if I can find it. Okay, this isn't the best view, but this is the normal, this is the high attack icon, which is a fist, and then this is the low attack or low block, which is a boot. That should make sense. So the character high-low melee attack selection and the selection border and the interaction icon are now working and implemented as I had hoped. So let me just demonstrate that briefly here. Let's start up the game and load my test save game here. Okay, so before, when you selected a character in melee combat, the selection border would be all the way around him, but now when you select, it selects high and low, and there's the proper interaction icon. You can see the kick boot icon there and the fist icon there. So that is now working. Of course I can still only punch, so even if I attack him right now, it will be a punch. So, but at least the selection and the borders are working properly. So that is very cool. So far so good. Let me just quit out again here and let's check what's next on the to-do list. I can delete these two items now. Okay, so the next, I'll take the next two here, which are adding the template sprites, which I actually have for you to see somewhere. No, not here. Well, they're probably somewhere else. Oh, they're in the graphics folder, of course. Here we are. These are all the template sprites used for the low melee attacks and flyback or kickback animation. These are all temporary, of course. When I have got all this up and running as I wanted to, these will be replaced by the separate clothing and shoes and body parts and hair and all those separate sprites that make up a character in the game. Okay, so I redid the melee kicking animation to make it look more like the kick actually impacts and makes contact with the enemy. So this is the old kick, where the character leans on the foot on the leg that's furthest from the enemy and kicks with the other leg. And this is the new animation, where the character leans on the leg that's closest to the enemy and then leans a bit forward, which should make it look more like the kick actually connects with the enemy. So let's take a look at it in game. Let's fire it up here and load my testing save file. Oh, and it's still too dark. Okay, so I am going to run up and I am going to kick this guy, and notice how my foot makes better contact with him. Boom. See, it actually looks as if he's kicked in the stomach. And when he blocks, it also looks a lot better. As if his arms actually are blocking my kick. Let's see the block again. Yeah, that's so much better. I'm probably going to get killed now. Maybe not. Let's do another kick. Boom. Boom. That's so much better. So that is very cool, and that looks a lot better. So what is next on the agenda? Okay, calculating the damage for the kick attack and knocking the enemy back one tile. That's probably the next two things I'm going to work on. Okay, so the knockback animation is now in when you kick a character. So let's just kick this poor guy around some more. And he goes flying back. And that looks pretty nice, I think. It definitely makes the kick feel a lot more powerful. So next I have to program the AI for kicking, or for low melee attacks in general, since as you can tell he doesn't really react to me kicking him, and he can't kick himself, well, and not in the sense that he's trying to kick himself, but he's not able to kick me back right now, so I'll have to program the AI in, and that will be next up for me to do. Also, I just realized that I haven't really shown off this map yet. This is my work in progress map number 2, which is basically an office building after hours. So there are only some guards and a few workers around here. And your target will be on the 4th floor of this building. But anyway, this is all work in progress. I'm still working on the low melee right now, and oh yeah, another thing I have to add is the kicking sound, since right now it still uses the punching sound, as you can probably hear. It doesn't sound quite as powerful as I want it to, but I'll be adding that later. And I now have low melee attacks, blocks and kicks working completely in the game. At least the basics have been implemented. So let's take a look at that. I still need to do a bit of polishing and adding some sprites and graphics and stuff, but all the basics are working now. So if I attack this guy, he will attack me back, and if I kick him, he will run back up to me, and he will also kick me once in a while. This guy here, where he kicks me, this guard has average melee skill, so he won't be kicking me all that often. Oh. And I also fly back when he kicks me. So that is pretty nicely working. Let's just try and increase this guy's melee skill, and you will see that he will be kicking me a bit more often. And of course, since I increased his melee skill, I'm having a pretty hard time blocking his attacks, since they are quite a bit faster than the average melee skill. Yeah, guy is completely destroying me. Now if I completely lower his skill to the lowest point, which I believe is 1, 0. I'm actually not sure if 0 works, but let's try that. He shouldn't kick me at all now. Let's see if he does anyway. Yeah, okay, so setting his melee skill to 0 means that he doesn't get out of his stun pose. That's actually a bug. Let's set it to 1 instead then. Well, he hasn't kicked me so far though, so that seems to be working. Now, even though this guy has low melee skill and won't kick me in general, if I'm standing in a doorway and blocking the doorway, then he should kick me anyway. So let's run over to this simulated doorway over here and see if he doesn't try to kick me at some point. Come on, dude. He should kick me at some point. Of course there's another bug. Yeah, he should have kicked me by now. So that seems to be a bug. Oh, I think I actually... part of the code that checks for a kick isn't even entering into if the melee attack is lower than 2, or the melee skill is lower than 2. Let me just try setting it to 2 then, and see if that changes anything. Now with his melee skill at 2, he should kick me, but just very rarely. But so far he hasn't, so that's okay. Let's run over to the doorway. Yeah, now he kicks me. Okay, so that is something I will have to fix. And maybe I can do that right now. Let's go to the AI code. Yeah, here we are. If character melee difficulty is bigger than 1, and that should be 0, I think. Yeah, because this is the code that checks, yeah, as the comment says, for a wall on either side, which is basically what constitutes a doorway, and it doesn't enter that. So let's set this to just bigger than 1. Than 0, or actually I can just remove this, can I? Let's just remove that conditional completely. Whoops. Guess I messed something up. I'm not sure what. Okay, figured it out. I'm an idiot. So let's compile this again and check that it's working. Now I think will melee skill 1, will he still attack? He shouldn't. Hold on a second. Yeah. Let me just... oops. That should be here. Check. And this should be bigger than 1. So here we go again. And let's set the guy's melee skill to 1. And so, once again, he shouldn't kick me now. At least not as long as I am not in the doorway. Try going up to the doorway, and hopefully he kicks me now. Good. Keep me the other way as well. And he will. Excellent. So now everything is working as intended. So that is very cool. So like I said, now I just need to do a bit of polishing and fixing some bugs with this, and yeah, this is basically my to-do list for the stuff that needs to be done before I'm completely done with the low melee attacks, like adding shadows and the sound. And this part is actually, as it is right now, the part that divides the high and low is always completely horizontal. And what I want to have is that when the character faces in a diagonal direction, that it will be like slanted like this instead of just completely straight across. That shouldn't be too hard to add, but it's not something I'm going to do on video, since it's probably pretty boring, as is all the other stuff in my to-do list here, adding shadows and stuff like that. So that will be it for this video, and in my next video I will hopefully have added all this stuff, and I can give you a quick rundown on the finished low melee attacks. So see you until then, and thanks for watching.